So we're going to move on to the panel portion. So, you are ladies, come on up. We're going to have a little girl time. The panelist happens to be all girls, so come on up. What we're going to do now is we have a couple of gals who we've been able to help through the ministry. Let's go down. Let's do the four of you on one side. Sorry, we didn't talk about this. Over there. And then I'll go to mom's over here. You're in my seat. We have one microphone, so we're going to have to pass it around. So really quick, I'm going to introduce everybody. Over here is Miss Sarah Jane Rodriguey. Yay, Sarah. She was one of the very first Mighty to Save participants that we've helped, and she actually volunteers now with Mighty to Save, and she is part of the planning committee for our event tonight, so we're excited to have her here. This is Katie Hagan. Katie was one of the first, and we'll tell you more about what she's doing in this portion, but we're super excited to have Katie here. Jessica Holbrook, yay! Jessica. Bethany Heller. And then we have our moms, because as some of you might know, if you have a loved one that has struggled with addiction, it doesn't just affect them, it affects the entire family. And so we wanted to get some parental perspective up here. So we have some moms. We have Miss Gaye Rodriguey, who's Sarah's mother, and we have Mary Lou Bowlin, who is Bethany's mom. And so here we are. I'm only 5 minutes, sorry. Okay, so first of all, thank you, because this is a very personal story. But God is good, and He has redeemed every one of you guys that are sitting up here now, so we're super excited about that. So here, we're going to have to pass this around. So Sarah, we'll start with you since you're over there. Do you want to tell us how old you were when you first started down this road, and maybe just a little bit about that, what it was like for you?
So I was 14 and I struggled with meth. I had a traumatic situation happen to me when I was 14, so I turned to drugs as an escape. And I struggled with it for about 14 years. Throughout those 14 years, though, I had tried to get clean. And now looking back, those were just the stepping stones to where I was. And I've just been super blessed by such a great family, both my mom and my dad and my sisters and my brother-in-law. Just sticking by me and, just talk about it, the past or now where I'm.
We'll get started.
Okay.
Yeah. So Katie, do you want to let you go? Maybe tell us how old you were when you started?
I started using off and on at a really young age, and mostly alcohol, but when I turned to opiates in my late 20s. For about 3 years prior to, I'm in Mountain Ministries now. I've been there for about 3 years. For about 3 years prior to that, my husband and I was in a rat race every day. I started started smoking a lot of weed when I was around 12, and that progressed until I was 16, and I got really heavy into meth for a long time until I went to prison. And it started just like finding that acceptance piece, right? And I just kind of went through the addiction cycle and just trying to find where I belong and fit in and got sucked in.
More about the acceptance part to people.
Well, like growing up, when I was in school, I got picked on a lot. I was in special ed for a while, and I had a hard time finding friends. I had a hard time at home. I grew up with a lot of yelling and slamming doors, and it made me feel really indifferent. That made me even harder to connect with other people, and when I started doing drugs, I just numbed out from it. It didn't matter anymore, and that just progressed from there.
I think I was probably 14 or 15 as well, and I know that it was just insecurities, like you say, which only makes it worse, but, and I don't remember what else you asked.
Okay, so moms. So did you know right away because they were pretty young teenagers? So was it something that you recognized right away? And what was your first initial reaction when you found out?
I think we knew that something was going on, and we didn't know if it was anorexia or just teenage angst or what was happening. And then two good friends of Sarah's came by and said to us, Sarah is using meth. And of course, disbelief is the first reaction, and we knew that we needed to start getting help for her. It's not easy if the person doesn't want to have help, even if they're under the age of 18 and you say you need to go someplace. So it was, counseling and, having lots of restriction and monitoring and all of that. So, but disbelief, not my child.
Yes, we knew right away, because we had already kind of gone down the road a little bit with our son. So we knew that there was trouble. And, I guess we tried to deal with it here and controlling the situation, thinking that, first of all, thinking it was our fault somehow. And, just trying to do all the things that parents think they can do by restricting. All the stuff that doesn't really make a difference.
And I just want to say, I just want to say too that at that time, really truly, nobody knew what meth was. Had no idea.
But I think Mary Lou touched on something as well, and that is the parent blame game. It's something, because we're parents and we love our children and we've tried to teach them, different. And so when it comes home, it's really hard to wrap your head around. And in fact, that goes into my next question is there's always been a stigma, about parents whose children struggle with addiction. Have you guys found that that's changed over the last few years? Has that gotten better?
Just a little louder, please. Louder. There you go.
I do think it's gotten a lot better. I think that when we first came upon our situation with Bethany, that there was a lot of shame attached to it. That definitely from the friends and church, not necessarily that it was their fault, but that because you're going to church and so your kids are supposed to be perfect, obviously, and they weren't. I think that there was a lot of shame attached to it, and I don't think that now it's that same kind of thing, because I think that so many people now are affected by it that I think that people just realize that sin is sin, and it's everywhere, and I don't think there's near the shame attached as there used to be.
Well, like I mentioned before, at that time, meth wasn't even known. I mean, when I told my sister, and she was a nurse practitioner, she was like, she had to look it up. Meth, it's meth. And same with my pastor. He looked it up and found the surprising thing was that it wasn't just young people, but people through their 70s were using it. It was a very lonely road. And my husband and I would talk about it, but then it would be difficult to talk about it because we didn't want that to be the only thing that you talked about. It affected my other children, my grandchildren. Felt like I had done something wrong. What did I do wrong to have my daughter walk this path? And I think people still struggle to understand, even though it's in the newspapers, it's on the internet, famous people have come forward, legislation is being brought up and all of that. Still, I can be someplace and somebody will say something about a drug addict and how their low life, I'm trying to think of some words that they just, who are their parents? And I want to go, well, So I think there's still a misunderstanding that it only happens to a certain economic level, a certain social level, certain cultures, certain educational. It's all across the board. Everybody has to deal with it.
Thank you. And I'm going to take this opportunity too, if there's anybody out there who has a loved one that's struggling. There are a couple of groups. Don, where are you? Don Jake's in the back. He's doing a parental support group for not just parents of children that might have addiction, but just parents of children who may have just be making difficult choices right now and that kind of thing. So if you want to connect with him afterwards, I'm sure he would love to talk to you. I think he has some brochures. And then over here, Beth and Sherry, you guys want to, they have a parental support group in Anacortes that meets twice a month to get together. And so I think that's super important if you're a parent or you have a loved one, is that don't think that you have to do this alone. And there's help, and there's people that would walk along this journey with you. Don't try to do it by yourself. So, okay, girls, back to you. Okay, so Sarah, you kind of touched on this a little bit that you had tried. So did you guys all have multiple attempts at recovery then before you finally got in recovery? And then the other thing would be, what was different this time? And I actually kind of wanted to touch on that word recovery because we hear it a lot in the addiction world. And so I looked it up on the dictionary. I'm like, what does it really mean? And so it's to return to a normal state of health, mind, and strength to be well again. So that's a great thing, and we want it. So sometimes people are kind of turned off by that word, but we do want that. We want to be returned to the way God intended us to be. So I guess, like, how many attempts, and then what was it this time that did it for you? How did you get to where you are now?
I'm pretty sure there's like at least 5 times that I tried to get clean, and I think that this last time, I have an 8-year-old son, and I divorced his father because it was like a battle between the two of it. You know, we couldn't stay clean together, and just still watching him go down that road, and actually seeing things from the other side for once, you know, and just seeing how much hurt it causes everyone, and like that I need to really make sure I'm okay for my son because I don't know, you know, like what he's gonna do, and it's just sad. It's, I don't know, but you know, just I think seeing it from the other side of things for once, like really changed things for me.
So I had one attempt right when I was 17. I had gone through a really hard run out on the streets and had a traumatic experience happen, and I ran back to my mom's house and I told her that I was using drugs and I wanted to get clean, or I wanted to stop and I needed help, and she said, okay, we'll figure it out. And I got to stay at her house. I moved back into her house, and then that was it. There was no, I didn't know what recovery was. I didn't know how to go into a 12-step meeting and reach out to people. I didn't know anything about that. And so it only lasted for like 3 months maybe, and I went right back out and started using again. And then my second little sobriety date time was I had found out I was pregnant when I was 6 months along, and I got clean and sober the remaining time of my pregnancy. And I had intentions of staying clean, but you know, I put my son up for adoption with an open adoption through an adoption agency. And through all that, though, like I had postpartum depression. Everybody was really concerned with what was going to happen through the adoption, and nobody ever asked me what I was going to do. You know, and I never talked about what I was going to do. I was just trying to get through this adoption, trying to have this baby, and figure out what's best for him, and just move on. I never thought about me. And so, right after I was out of the hospital, I went right back out to using. And then it wasn't until I got incarcerated and when I met Christina that I've been clean and sober now for almost 3.5 years. So.
So I only have I guess all the before the opiates, none of that was treatment worthy because it was just partying here and there, and the rest of it was legal. It was alcohol, or pot really isn't that bad. And when my husband and I, my older daughter now, when she was born, we got hooked on heroin, and I knew it was, I knew I didn't want to be there, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And Bethany got me in contact with Christina, and so we attempted recovery at that point. Christina and Paula took us up to Mount Hagan for a week to detox. Realistically, we had just gotten a tax return. We got back, and it was no time before we were back on it because we didn't have anything set up to succeed. We went right back to our apartment. We went right back to, I had every single contact on my phone with the intentions of deleting them. But I really wasn't ready. This time, this was the second attempt. We went up to Mountain Ministries, and I was done. I was done with life. I was done with my marriage. I was done with everything to the extent of I just didn't know how to do it anymore. I couldn't function. And my husband finally decided that he was done as well. And we weren't giving up on each other. We were giving up on what we were doing and choosing life. And that really was the difference this time, is we were choosing life.
Well, I don't know if the first time counts when I got grounded from 17 and a half to 18, but that was my first attempt, or my parents' attempt, right? So, and then I tried to go to treatment a few times, which was a little scary too. I think 3 times total. And then there was multiple times I was in jail and saying, I'm not going to use when I get out, but deep in my heart, I was like, I'm going to use when I get out. As much as I honestly didn't want to, I still knew I had plans of doing that when I got out. Looking back, the Lord's always been by my side in those times. My mom always had a pastor. I even had a pastor come all the way to sundown to see me, and I see where God was influencing my life there. What was the final decision on me is just surrendering fully to God, but one of the attempts wasn't necessarily escaping drugs, but escaping an abusive relationship. And I happened to leave. My mom came and picked me up, and I got to eat dinner with my grandma. And I didn't spend very much time with her because I was out running amok. She passed away the next day. And I remember God showing me I'm missing out on those opportunities with my family. I'm missing out on these things. What a blessing it was to spend those last, hours with her. But I didn't want to keep going down that road. And so I remember in that, going back to Spokane, God also said, humble yourself, go back, because pride was getting in the way all the time. But I just didn't want to miss out on those moments with my family. So.
Amen. Amy, why don't you take just a second and tell us about Mountain Ministries and how you went through their program and what you do now.
Mountain Ministries is a 1-year, it's Christ-centered recovery. It's, there's a lot of Bible studies. It deals with the root issue rather than the addiction, because the addiction is a symptom of so much more. Christina helped find this place because the reality was for Josh, myself, and she was almost 3 at the time, Jameson, our daughter, we were not willing to go somewhere and be split up. We had to stay a family. That was just it. And Christina found this place that accepted families. And the men's program is like 45 minutes away, so we really didn't see each other that much, and that's good because I needed to heal without Josh and vice versa. But we got to, Jameson spent the week with me and the weekends with Josh, and so we spent that year healing. And gradually we got to spend more time with each other. And after the year, I moved over to the men's side with Jameson, and we were doing the men's intake. And so now we assist with bringing people who've had the same walk as all of us up here, but assisting people coming into the program now, and
some stuff going on. So at the college that I go to, Skagit Valley in Mount Vernon, I'm getting involved in, there's a couple different things. So I'm getting involved in a peer mentor group that helps mentor formerly incarcerated students into just the first year of school, because it's super uncomfortable getting back into a college, coming from prison. There's all kinds of stigmas you feel, there's all kinds of false beliefs, like, you know, I haven't been in school for years, how could I go back now, kind of thing, or just the uncomfortable anxiety of getting out, and the institutionalized feeling. And so we're going to try to help peer mentor people through that and get them back into college, and, you know, that way you can get a, you know, move towards a career that can help really build a foundation for the rest of your life. And so I'm getting involved in this peer mentor group at the school. And actually next Thursday, I get to go back and speak at this women's conference at the prison that I was incarcerated at. And it's an annual conference that they have for the women. It's for empowerment. There's going to be me and 5 other ladies in a panel just like this. They're going to have a Superior Court judge interview us about where were we at before we were incarcerated, what programs we took advantage of while we were there, what resources did we use when we got out, and where we're at in life today. I'm really looking forward to all that. And my dreams, though, is to continue to stay involved in that. You know, I want to get involved with, I just really have a passion for people getting into school after, you know, after incarceration. I think it's huge, and just about anybody can do it. You know, there's so much resources and grants, student loans, whatever. I've received up to, I think, $1,500 in scholarships so far, and I'm applying for more right now. There's just so much out there, and really it's just quite the blessing. You just got to reach your hand out for it, or have somebody there to show you the way through it, right? So that's kind of the idea of the peer mentor program, is to be that one holding the door for the next person. So.
Good. You guys.
We help people not be in that situation, and removing stigmas, and we're not dirty dirtbags up here, but we fell into some really crappy stuff, and that's the reality for so many right now. I just want to assist where I can to help people get to that point where they're not there.
I personally feel like I'm already living in the dreams that I had. You know, I'm not living in brokenness. I have healthy relationships. I'm blessed with an amazing family I get to spend time with, and people actually enjoy being around me. You know, I'm blessed by so many friendships now. Like, I mean, it might sound cheesy, but sometimes I just like have to take a step back and be like, I'm so thankful for this life and the things that God brings into it. Like, I get cheesy all the time. My coworkers know, right? So, in that Jesus calls us to be love lights. So wherever He places me in this journey, I just want to shine His love. I don't necessarily have to be like, it's Jesus, because He shines through us, you know, and that's where my foundation comes from. That's where my joy comes from. That's where my peace comes from. And I just want to make sure that I'm bounded in Him.
Parents, and then we have to wrap it up. Dan's giving me the eye. Okay, 7:58?
Yeah.
All right, well, we've said 8 o'clock, so actually I'm just going to take this moment. I want to thank you. Huh? Thank you.
I've been waiting over there.
I told him to wink at me at a certain time. Okay, so I just want to thank everybody here. Can we give him a big round of applause for being vulnerable and coming up and sharing my story? So thank you all very much. Okay, we have one more person that's going to come up. So ladies, you are excused. Thank you. Okay,